Hey guys, so I'm here to review the long requested item that many people have mentioned for me to talk about is the Mammut Smart Alpine. And so it's made by Mammut, as we all know. It's pretty much just like a couple pieces of metal riveted together, and you get some plastic in there too. So it's essentially a very non-technical device, but it's just one of those setups where it's the matter of geometry in the plate in order to accomplish everything it wants to. And this is an assisted braking multi-pitch belay device. Essentially, that's what it is. Non-mechanical, only focuses on the camming action with your rope going through here. This is the Smart Alpine. It's called the 7.5 to 9.5 because that's the diameter of rope that you can fit in here. They do have a bigger one, which I think is about 8 to 11 mil, something like that. So I got this one because I don't really use a rope that's over 9.4 or so. But the other day I actually did use a rope that was 9.8 and or maybe even a bit, no, it was 9.8, and it was made by Untitled, and it slid just fine through this. So I think maybe that 9.5 limit is Mammut ropes, which I think they tend to be a bit thicker in terms of their measuring. And then if you get thinner ropes like Sterling or Untitled or something, you can fit larger ropes in here. Like, for example, that 9.8. I even tested it out beforehand to see how hard it would be to pull through, and it was like no big deal. So that's actually a nice little plus. When I bought this, I thought I would maybe need to have a really big carabiner to fit in there. And what I've found is that pretty much any carabiner actually fits in these slots. It looks bigger than what it is in real life, at least to me it does. So those Metolius carabiners, those small ones, they fit and work in here. And then any other carabiner will do. You do want to avoid using a D carabiner or anything with a prominent point because that can easily interfere with the braking system that we have in this, unless you flipped it around like this, but then you wind up cross-loading your carabiner. So don't do that. Carabiners definitely for belaying. I would draw to the comparison to the Untitled Megajoule with this device because of the way how they're fundamentally the same. You know, they're a curved piece of metal that makes the carabiner and the rope go into a certain notch in order to add assisted braking, as well as they're set up the same in that you would hold this out from yourself and then hook your thumb right here and pull out in order to release the device. And so they are very similar like that. Loading is a bit different, but that's essentially the same setup. You can see how I have the climber side here. It's kind of hard to see, but that's a climber picture, and then we have a brake hand down here. So we would load it so that way the rope goes in through our carabiner, just like so, and then up to our climber's side. And in order to release it, we just pull it out, and then we can pull rope up, and then we're good to go. In order to use in belay from above, you just take another carabiner, clip it into that ring above, and instead of clipping the rope with your other carabiner in the slot, you actually pass it further through and then clip the rope on the outside of it. And so that is a bit different, but I guess that gives you enough braking power to add in the assisted braking feature and help hold the climber if they were to fall. So that is just one little thing that's different. That's no big deal, though, to remember to do. I've been using this device now for the past little while. It took me forever to review because I wanted to wait until I was on multi-pitch terrain. And now that I'm in Red Rocks, I've taken it out on a couple of long climbs. And I really do actually like using it. I think the pull is very smooth. I think that it's really easy to handle. The cool part about this is any friction part with the ropes, you have these spinning bevels. If I shake it, you can almost hear, there we go. I don't know if you can hear that on the video, but you can hear that little clicking sound, and that's the loose bevel part. So that way when you pull rope through or in, then there's not as much friction on any points of contact, which actually makes pulling really smooth. And that works for both lead belaying and belaying from above. And so that's actually a really nice feature with this thing. And you'll see, I believe this material is a bit more abrasion resistant when it comes to wear with the rope. I don't know exactly how long this device is going to last, but I can assume it'll last a decent amount of time, at least as long as an ATC or longer. The only thing that I don't like about this is repelling, because where with the Megajoule, you could actually have the choice to flip it around and repel with it without assisted braking, like a standard tuber belay device. This thing you can't. It always has to be in that same orientation, and anytime you're repelling with it, you always have that brake assist feature, which actually in this case, where you have to hold it away from yourself, is very strenuous, especially in, the arm muscles, how you have to keep holding it at the same place, and as well as maintaining your brake hand and letting rope through. So I really don't like that part. If I take this on a route where I know I have to repel, then I'll bring an ATC with me, just because I really don't want to repel on this. It's so annoying. And I'm sure there's other ways you can jury rig it, so that way you can repel without any assisted braking, like flipping it upside down or something. But I'm going with what the company recommends, and I couldn't find anything about flipping the device upside down and loading it like this, or anything like that in order to actually repel with it. They've only ever recommended just holding it out in front of you and using the assisted brake. So that is my one drawback with this thing. That's what I liked about the Megajoule, is the fact that you can actually flip it around and then you don't have that assisted braking. These types of devices where you have to pull out in order to repel are actually very annoying when it comes to repelling. And so it's nice. I'll have an extra belay device with me. That's really no big deal. Another thing I want to say is if you have to lower a climber when belay from above, that's what this little hole is for. They say in the instructions that come with the device, just take some cord, tie it in here, and then you can turn it up and then let the rope out the old-fashioned way like anyone would. So that's why that little hole is there in the plastic. The plastic thumb is pretty comfortable on your thumb as well. So it's not like it's painful. It just, is annoying as usual to lower someone. When it comes to sport belaying, single pitch belaying with this thing, I find that the action with the assisted braking is pretty good. If you have like the Black Diamond Pilot probably had the weakest assisted braking of these types of devices, and rope easily slid through. I've seen some ropes slide through on the Megajoule. With this one, I haven't really seen too much slippage, maybe a little here and there, depending on forces, but overall the slippage is pretty good. Well, that's just about everything I have to say about this device right now, the Mammut Smart Alpine. They do have other devices like the Mammut Smart, I think it's called, where it's just one of these tubes, let's call them tubes, instead of two. And so you would use those just for single pitch climbing and cragging. It's, just weighs a little less expensive probably. One thing I haven't used with this yet are twin ropes or double ropes, and I am actually very interested to see how that would work with this. I'd imagine it'd be just about right. This thing goes down to 7.5 and I have 7.8, so the minute I actually do try out twin ropes with this device, I'll maybe make a video on it if it's if I feel like I have to bring something up about it. But if everything works the same as in single ropes, then there's really not much more to say. I think it is a good device to have. I think I'm going to keep on using it in the future, especially if I don't have a walk-off. I'd be interested to see also belaying two people with this, because I think it'll actually be a little less resistant. Maybe something along the lines of a GG or so. So I am interested in trying this out in other situations. But for, the layman's belaying just with another partner on multi-pitch climbs, I think it is worth it to have. It's worth trying out. Maybe you could have an opinion on that if you like using fatter ropes. This may be a better device than an ATC that like Petzl or Black Diamond makes. And if you have anything you want to add with this or your own personal experiences, then feel free to throw it in the comments. And then I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.